Alrighty, what's up guys, Rip here, and I just wanted to recap everything that happened in the last few days. Now, the location test was a few days ago and it gave us our first look at some early gameplay of Tekken 7 in its location test form. And you guys in the comments and people all around the world actually exploded with an outpouring of opinions of the system changes in the game. So, I usually read all the comments and I usually try to answer a lot of them, but there was just so many this time that I figured I just might as well address them all in the video directly. Now, one of the things I'm seeing constantly complained about is that bound is removed from the game. Now, to me, bound is just a combo extension mechanic, and with your combos you had to make a choice. You either chose to use the bound early to help get an opponent to the wall, or you had to choose to juggle someone to the wall, save the bound, use it on the wall to get a better wall combo. That's pretty much all that bound did. Now, the bound state that we're used to, where you see the opponent bounce off the ground and you pick them up to combo, that still exists for certain attacks in Tekken 7, just like it does in Tekken Revolution. So moves like Brian's forward 4-1, Elisa up forward 4-4, Law's forward 4-4-3, or even Lars forward back 2-1, etc, etc. All those things are still bound the same way as they did before, but functionally now that just means that bound is used as a combo opener or a combo starting tool rather than a combo extension tool. So a lot of people got all crazy about it. Wah, where's my bound? Boo, shorter combos, etc, 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 right? But I think a lot of people aren't paying attention to the fact that there is a new combo extending mechanic. And while we don't have an official term, the Japanese term we've seen used is kirimomi, which loosely translates to tailspin, which is what people have been referring to it as. Now, functionally, this is the new bound, as you use it in the middle of the combo and it helps you extend your combo. One way it differs though is that it doesn't work once a person is on a wall. However, old bound moves at the wall look like they now flip the opponent over, possibly guaranteeing additional free damage. So to me, I think that means that the combo options of this game are going to be more diverse than they were before in like Tekken 6. So personally, I found bound boring and this system seems more intriguing to me. So yeah, if you're freaking out about the game having short combos because there's no bound, you can rest easy. It looks like combos will not be short in this game. On the other hand, if you hated long combos because of bound, sorry, looks like they're here to stay. However, like I just said, with the combination of bound in this game and the tailspin thing, I think that the combo system is going to be more interesting than it was before. There's also this weird state that we saw King players put opponents into. Now, is this another type of combo extending option? Do we leave the opponent on the ground in this grounded stun state for free follow-up? We're just gonna have to wait and see, I guess. But that's also really interesting, especially if all characters have access to this. Lastly, now that this tailspin thing and bound are separate, players basically have access to two bound states in a combo again with low parries and floor breaks. In Tekken 6.0, way back in the arcade days, before Tekken 6 Bloodline Rebellion hit consoles, the game actually let us use bound after a low parry. So you'd get the bound state from the low parry and still have access to your bound and then extend that to get into a wall or something. So low parries are pretty strong. And now in this early version of Tekken 7, you can low parry into the old bound state and then do your tailspin move to basically get the new bound state. And the same thing basically applies to floor breaks and balcony breaks that leave opponents in that old bound state. So now you can use that bound state and still get a tailspin after it and extend your combo again. So this seems a little crazy to me. So this is one of the things that I feel like, I'm not going to be surprised if it gets dropped from the final version of the game, because they already removed it from Tekken 6.0 to Bloodline Rebellion, and they kept it that way for Tekken Tag 2 as well. So my guess it's just an early build and that it'll probably be taken out. But we'll see. Now, whether you like the concept of rage arts or not, another thing that I saw a ton of people complaining about was the damage on the rage arts. People were like, OMG, did you see Steve do the 70% rage art? Oh my god, I'm not going to play this, but I'm totally going to buy it. Anyone who said anything like this, you have to remember that this is a location test. This is basically an alpha or a beta version of the game. It is not complete. It is not the final product. How much damage a move does is literally one number that needs to be changed in some spreadsheet somewhere or something. So compared to everything else that needs to be done to create the game, damage at this point is really minor. As for rage arts and sparks in the game, I think they add a lot of value for spectators. And I think this is something that Tekken has been lacking more and more. In Tekken 3, the game was visually appealing because of its animations and graphics. You know, me as a player, I was playing Tekken 1 and 2 in the arcades. When Tekken 3 came out, I was like, holy crap, what is this? I saw Harong do his hunting hawk kicks, and I was like, alright, sold. I've never seen that before. Getting it. Now, spectators, you know, they hadn't seen most of the stuff like that, like me, and it drew everyone in. Now, all 3D games have similar graphics, and other fighting games have evolved to have these cinematic moments. You know, I'm talking about Street Fighter with its Ultras, Mortal Kombat with its X-Rays, etc. And realistically, Tekken has fallen behind here. And I've talked to many other FGC players in the past and asked them why they didn't play Tekken, or why they weren't interested in Tekken. And aside from the, you know, the usual complaints from the competitive guys, which is like, oh, there's too many characters, too many things I don't learn, memorize all that stuff. The number one thing I hear from these people is that the game looks boring. They don't visually understand what things are important and why. And so with that being said, I think that Namco is 100% doing the right thing with the slow motion stuff they've put into this game right now for Tekken 7. Alrighty, so let's talk about that briefly. Slow motion kicks in when two players are in rage and a killing blow is about to be dealt. The game slows down, it adds tension and drama to that moment, so I think that works out perfectly. Another moment there seems to be some slowdown is during counter hits. I'm not sure if it's graphical slowdown or intended, but there is a fear I've heard that it will mess up players' timing. And if players can adjust to this without much practice, then I think it's totally worth it to do that slowdown, because it highlights to both spectators and new players that, hey, this is important, pay attention. And the last place where they added some craziness is during trades. So now when two attacks hit at the same time, there's a fucking gigantic ass explosion of particles and shit all over the place. So that is the only sparks I saw that seems a little overkill. But again, you know, I like the idea behind doing it. You know, to draw attention to new players and spectators and say, hey, important moment, pay attention. And you know, I also play Killer Instinct, so I'm used to all the crazy sparks. And to be honest, as a player, I don't even notice them anymore. Now, quickly, let's talk about Power Crush and Rage Arts. Power Crush can be beaten by lows and throws. It'll crush through multiple hits of mids and highs, but it does take the damage as well. Rage Arts also have this armor, but again, they take the damage as well. Now, imagine these two things together for end of round situations. Once you've put someone into rage, that to me is kind of scary. Because if you go for a quick safe mid, as most of us have been trained to do, you can get power crushed, or you can get hit by Rage Arts without actually killing them. So if you want to try and stop the power crush, you have to go low or you have to throw. But that leaves you open to hop kicks. So to kill this person off, you have to do more damaging moves that they can't absorb and live through. But for most characters in Tekken, this generally means you're doing something that deals more damage, which generally means that it's also going to be more punishable. Now, some power crush moves in the game are also safe, and hopefully that's just an early build thing too. I hope that all power crush moves are not safe. I hope that there's not a single power crush move in the game that ends up being safe. And you know, overall with this whole situation, maybe I'm overlooking something, but you know, putting someone into rage right now the way it is seems very scary. And of course the game is super early, so all this can change, so whatever, not really a big deal. I just wanted to say it, I guess. But I guess, yeah, if it stays that way, then I would hope that rage only activates at like the last 5% or something tiny, so it's less common and easier to let players out of rage, or to leave players out of rage, and give them less life to armor with their power crush moves and their rage arts.